Give it a second.
Welcome to the Everything Goes podcast with TAK, where sports get loud, the takes get hot, and nothing's off limits. From game day breakdowns to way too early predictions, we're bringing the energy every single episode. Buckle up, because over here, everything really does go.
What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Everything Goes podcast, episode 228, sponsored by Three Natives here in Royal Palm Beach, Florida. And we have a lovely guest joined us today, former head coach Jim Mora, who 90 years old birthday. Can't believe it. Guy looks amazing. Looks amazing. Look like you're 40, 50, golfing 3 times a week. I wish I could golf 3 times a week. I need the practice.
Well, you call me lovely, and then you're talking about the first thing we want to talk about is that I'm 90 years old. What the heck's going on? Where's the sport? Where's the football and all that stuff?
Oh, that's coming. That's coming, Jim. I mean, I'll tell you right off the bat. I'm a diehard New Orleans Saints fan. So knowing that you guys
seriously,
diehard,
okay,
diehard. So you know the struggles that I'm going through right now.
Oh my God!
I mean, before I met my wife, I was blessed with Drew Brees, and she has never seen a winning season since then. And I tell her it was real. I'm not making it up. It was real. But
good.
What I want to ask you just right off the bat, real quick, because you have that experience, going into a franchise that, it needs a turnaround. And so what's that like being a new coach going into a team that hasn't had a lot of success in the past couple of years and the pressure on your back to turn that around?
I don't think I just finished 3 years as a head coach in the USFL. Okay. And we've done really, really well. And I had opportunities at 3 teams when I took the Saints job.
Yeah.
And there was something about the other 2. I don't know, just some little thing that I didn't think it was going to be for me. You know what I mean? It could have been a person, the player. I don't know. It wasn't a big deal. Yeah, I did an interview with both of them on the phone, so it wasn't a big deal. I didn't go into them and really look into it and all that kind of stuff. But when the New Orleans Saints situation started, I looked into that team as far as where they are at this point, and are they a young team? Are they an old team? Do they have a core? Everything.
Yeah.
And the fact that they had never had a winning season. Did you know that? They'd never had a winning season.
I did.
And I think it was like 15 years or something like that. Wow. And I kind of like the city. It's a different city, no question about it. And so I said, hey, this is going to be the one. Let's go do it. And that's what we did.
Hey, Jim, when you have 3 teams that you're looking at, how much time do you have to make that decision? Because you have so much stuff in the off season that has to get kicked off. How much time do you have to say that's where I want to go?
Not a lot. They're anxious to get a new coach, the team that I'm talking to, whether it's me or anybody else. But back then, and I do a radio show I've done a radio show with WDSU, which is the NBC affiliate in New Orleans. I've done it for 15 years. During the season, every week, during the off season, we do Zooms, all that kind of stuff. But I still lose a little contact with the team. What kind of team we have, what kind of players, etc. What's in their background, all that kind of stuff. When I got the Saints job, when I took the Saints job, I looked into it pretty closely, but I felt like we had the ability and the potential to have a winning season. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's what happened. We went in there the first year, we were 7-9, but we were competitive. Our defense was good, and the next year we were 12-3. Now we only played 15 games because players went on strike that year and they missed the first game of the season throughout the league. But the second year we're 12-3, and that was the first time. And another thing that's really good about New Orleans, their fans. And I know that wasn't the thing that I found out about that made me want to take the job. But the fans in New Orleans love their team. They're nuts people down there. They're crazy. Boy, are they! I love the fans. I'm not saying negative things about them. I like the fans.
Yeah.
But they love that team, and they were ready to have some fun and enjoy winning, and that's what we started doing.
Hey, Jim, as a Vikings fan, I noticed that firsthand, especially in the Superdome. It gets loud.
It gets loud. I was going to ask you what made coach in New Orleans special? Was that the fans for you?
Oh, I'll tell you. I'm trying to think now. The guy that hired me, the owner was a 1-year owner of the Saints. When I got the job, the president and general manager was, oh my God, I can't think of his name, and that's horrible. And I knew he was a winner, and boy, did I like him. And we had an interview before I took the job and got offered the job. I just really liked this guy, and he was a good guy for me to work for, and that's important. The owner was a good guy for me to work for, and that's important. Those are two very, very important things that you have to think about before you make a decision to be a coach there. And
Absolutely.
Both of these factors, the general manager and the coach, were guys that I believed in. I spent time looking into and meeting them and all those kind of things. And that's one of the big things. Those two guys were what sold me.
Yeah.
Talking about New Orleans.
The president and Jim Finks. Does that name ring a bell with you?
Yeah.
Not me personally, but
Chris.
Okay. Yeah. Jim Finks. Outstanding. I mean, and that made a big difference. Did I want to work with this guy on a daily basis or not? And I wanted to.
absolutely.
The owner, would he cooperate? Yes. And that was good. Those were two big factors in me taking that job.
Yeah.
Right there.
Well, Jim, with the New Orleans, since we're talking about the Saints right now, how tough is it right now for Kellen Moore? Because you have two young quarterbacks there now that really don't have much playing time to figure out which one you're going to use.
Well, they've had an off season. That's all I know. And I pay some attention to this too, because I got to talk about them during the season. But I don't think you really find out about somebody until you get them in a game situation. And they're not going to have that factor, except for the guy they had on their team last year that was a backup. Okay.
Yeah.
That was
Spencer Rattler.
Yeah. And so I'm sure they've looked at a lot of film on these guys. They analyzed them in their OTAs they just had. They'll analyze them in the summer. So they'll have a pretty good idea on them. But I don't know. It's going to be tough. They got young guys that one guy hadn't played, the other guy played a little bit. That's a pretty critical position to have that factor. But good things happen sometimes.
Yeah, and their coach is a former quarterback in the league. Their offense coordinator, their quarterback coach, all former players. So I mean that brings some kind of presence and wisdom to the team. So it's going to be exciting. I mean, the Saints fans are ready for the day that we start to win again. That's all I'm saying.
Well, hopefully it'll be this season. I'll be at 2 or 3 of the games doing my stuff with WDSU. But I love this team. I love this organization. They were good to me. We had 11 years there, and I pull for them every weekend. I pull for them, and hopefully they'll get it done because those fans love that team and they deserve it.
Yeah.
What do you think of the OTAs nowadays compared to when you were coaching? I mean, I don't want to say it's soft, but there's not as much contact as there used to be back when you were coaching.
I probably had too much in my practice. Is that what you're talking about in practice? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
The contacts and stuff, the physical contacts?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
two-a-days.
Yeah. There's more restrictions on what you can do and can't do regarding those things than there was when I coached. And I probably spent too much time on that kind of stuff physically with the pads on and things like that. But I didn't overdo it. But we did it as much as I felt like we needed. And right now, I mean, guys don't put the pads on during the seasons. They really don't during practice. And who knows? I mean, I watch the games now. I think guys are bigger, faster, stronger, more talented than they had back there. So obviously it doesn't hurt that much. And you better chance to keep them healthy.
Yeah.
Do you think that physicality still probably can dominate, or is one of those X factors on a team too?
Can physically dominate over another team, you mean?
Yeah, like the physicality.
Well, yeah, but I think it depends on a couple of things. One, the talent, the talent level, and the physical ability of the players on the team, and then also how a coach prepares. And some guys take off the pads early in the season and don't wear them during this practice during the rest of the season. Other guys wear the pads during the season. When I say other guys, other coaches. So it all depends. I think a coach's philosophy on how much contact to have during the regular season the week of the games. Some guys probably maybe have a little bit more physical work than somebody else does. I don't know. I think all that basically comes down to the players on your team. How you handle it. I mean, you're not going to be a dumb coach and overwork them or not work them enough. You're gonna do the right thing most of the time. Now, what you need is to do it with the right kind of guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Jim, I'm a Cowboys fan, and I haven't seen the glory days since the 90s. We haven't had anything to talk about. But I noticed, like, for the Cowboys, they don't play any of their starters in preseason games. Do you believe it that you should play your guys? Because, like, as me as a fan, I never know what I have until after week 1.
Well, yeah, but with your veterans, and you're a veteran coach, you know what you've got, and you've got a whole off season to do some things with these mini camps they have and stuff. They're not allowed pads, but it's just a different philosophy. Some coaches don't wear the pads as much during the season. Other coaches do. I don't know. I think it still boils down to the guys that are in the pads or out of the pads.
Jim, what's your view on the game nowadays compared to when you were coaching it? Do you think it's more exciting? Do you think there's a lot of drama that goes on behind the scenes with agents and athletes, or is it the same?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know what goes on. You know, although I have a connection with the Saints and I do a thing with them every week and go to the game somewhere with WDSU. I don't know. I've been away from it too long to even to tell you what I think. I really am. I don't. I think there's less. I know that they don't practice in pads as much. Yeah. I know that. I don't know about the hours you're allowed or contact that you're allowed and those kind of things. But I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I know back there I put the pads on a lot, and most teams did then. Now they don't.
I think the game's changed a lot more. Like now it's more flashy. They want to see the quarterback throw the ball 40, 50 times a game. Where like when I got into football watching it, it was like you saw Emmitt Smith and you saw Roger Craig. You saw these guys. These were the workhorses. You know, you had Joe Montana and them that throw the ball like 20 times a game, not like these guys today.
Yeah, there's more action in the air, you know, throwing the football around than it is running the ball. I think you got a better chance to move the ball down the field and score points throwing the football effectively. And the running game is not as – it's important. Don't get me wrong. It's important. And if you've got a good running game and a good defense, you still got a chance. But I don't know. I don't know. I think I see the same things you're seeing, you know, with the passing game and stuff like that. And that's the way it is right now, and I guess that's the way it's going to be forever. Yeah.
Jim, how tough was it when you were coaching? Like, what was a work week like for you? Was it 20 hours a day you were stuck in the office? I mean,
no. Well, you have a game on Sunday. Monday you came in and you look at the film and you kind of. I'll tell you the thing that's different nowadays. Staffs are larger.
Yeah.
The coaching staff. There's not a coaching staff in the NFL that has under 15 coaches on their staff. The most I ever had was 10 or 12, and that was the way it was during the season. I don't know what they do with these other coaches, but they do. It's crazy. I mean, I don't know why they have 15 assistant coaches, 14 assistant coaches.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but obviously they do, and you know, I don't know if the best team nowadays was playing the best team back when I was coaching. I'm not so sure the best team now would win the game. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's not crazy. An advantage.
Yeah. Jim, my last question I have about your time in New Orleans is throughout your seasons there, who's one player that you just really admired watching, whether that was on the offensive side or the defensive side?
Well, my favorite player that I ever coached, and you're one of my just favorite. And I had a lot of good players. Don't get me wrong. That's why we won. Good players that played hard, that practiced hard, practiced the right way, all that kind of stuff. So I could name a bunch of guys that I liked and loved and really loved working with. We didn't want jerks on our team. I'm that kind of guy. If a guy's a great player and he's a jerk and he's lazy and those kind of things, I don't want him.
That's
okay.
Right.
Even if I can get a guy that's going to show up every day, do the job, be a good teammate, those kind of things, that help winning. You have to have the talent, don't get me wrong, but that's the kind of team I like to build, and most of the time it worked. But my favorite player was a guy that I coached at the USFL, Sam Mills. You ever heard of Sam Mills?
Yes, I have.
I haven't.
Man, I can't believe it. You got to look him up.
Yep.
He played for me in the US. He went to a small college, played for me in the USFL. It was a 5'9" and a quarter, 225-pound inside linebacker.
They always said too small, but he wasn't.
No, he's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yep.
He's in it now. And his name is Sam Mills. He was a linebacker. He was a great player, a great person to have on your team, hard worker, leader, all those came. And we had a great defense when I was coaching the Saints. I mean, that was really strong for us. We had a great, this is back, so maybe some of you guys don't know who I'm talking about. Ricky Jackson, all those kind of people. And, but Sam Mills was the one, and everybody thought he was too short. He wasn't too short. He was a stud player and a great player, and he's now in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Did you?
Anyway, I would say if that tell me to pick out one guy, and I had a bunch of them. Sam Mills, because I had USFL and NFL.
Did you coach Bobby Hebert?
Yes, Bobby was our quarterback.
And Dalton Hilliard.
Dalton Hilliard was our running back, and we drafted Dalton. I think it was my first year there.
I was 15 years old up in those seats watching those games.
Well, they were on the team. Yeah, we were. That's the one I coached, because Dalton. I hope you enjoyed the game. But anyway, Dalton was a guy we drafted. I think it was my first year. Bobby Hebert was there before me, and both really good guys, really good players, guys you wanted on your team, and that's why we were successful.
Yeah,
I got to go to Super Bowl 24 there in the Superdome when it was the Broncos versus the 49ers, and Joe Montana put it on them 55-10.
Oh, golly.
Well, when I was coaching the Saints, we were in a tough division. We played. It's the same now. Yeah.
Yep.
49ers twice, Rams twice, and Atlanta twice. And the 49ers were the best team in football most of the time that I was the head coach with the Saints. The Rams were a really good team, and Atlanta also. So it was a tough division. I think it's better than it is now.
Now, when your time was done with the New Orleans Saints and you moved on to the Colts, how was that transition? Was that the only team that was interested in you, or like what made you want to go to Indy?
Well, I didn't. I took a year off, and I worked for. I think it was I worked with the either NFL Network or ESPN, one of those, for a year, and then I had the opportunity to go to Indianapolis. We had the first draft pick that year. We picked Peyton Manning. I'd known Peyton since he was a little kid because he's from and grew up in New Orleans, so I know the family well. But anyway, he was going to be our quarterback. He was our quarterback from day one. A week after we drafted him, we had a mini camp. He was our starting quarterback. The first year we were 3-13. Peyton played every down, every offensive down. We were 3-13. The next year he played every down. We had a better team. We were 13-3. We went from 3-13 to 13-3 those first 2 years. So, but I liked Indianapolis. I mean, it was a very different city to live in. Not that it was any better or any worse or anything. Different city, different people in the front office, all that kind of stuff. And I had 4 years there, and for the most part, they were good. Most part, they were good seasons. But I like the Colts. But if I said, well, what's your favorite team, I'd pick the Saints. But I have no negatives. No negatives for the Colts. Good organization.
What changes over that period of time when you go 3-13 with your same staff and then go 13-3 the next year? What causes that? Is it
with our Saints staff? You said.
What changes? Like, did you
with the Colts? You mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
Basically, it was a staff. Well, some of the coaches that I had is that what you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
The coaches? Yeah, some of them I had mostly new guys, because the guys that I'd had at New Orleans, the year I was out, they got on with other teams and were coaching. You see what I mean? And they had just joined the coaching staff at another NFL team. So most of the coaches that I hired when I got to Indianapolis were relatively new to what I'd had at New Orleans. But it was a good staff. Yeah, good stuff.
Is that the difference between a 3-13 season and a 13-3 season? Is getting adjusted and building the chemistry together?
It's the guys that they were coaching that were out there playing, making mistakes or making touchdowns. Yeah, and our quarterback, like I said, Peyton played every offensive down his first year, and we did some better things during the offseason as far as acquiring players, and that got better. And that third year, we won 13 games. It's pretty, it was a big deal.
Yeah. I think that's what I admire about you, Jim. Like any video I've seen of you is I like the generation of coaches that you were part of. Coaches that weren't afraid to go on camera and say like, my team sucked. Like, don't like it's just like you were just straight with it. Like you weren't hiding anything. Like, hey, like we suck. Like this is how we're gonna get better, and we're gonna work hard. Because I think fans like that when you see a certain coach nowadays that is real with you. Like, hey, like we suck today, and we're gonna work hard and we're gonna fix it. Like not sugarcoat it and act like everything's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I said what I felt. It's a press conference after a game. It's the Monday after the Sunday game. It's a game you won or a game you lost. I don't know, but normally when I said some things that were a little negative, it was that we'd lost the game. But I expressed my feelings at that moment from that question, and that's just the way I was. I mean, I wasn't going to swear and do all that kind of stuff, but I told people what I thought about our team and what I liked, what I didn't, etc. And I know the players read this stuff, but hey, that's the way it goes.
It's the way it is.
Yeah.
So, do you agree with? Go ahead, Ace.
I was going to ask about Jim Irsay. I know he passed away earlier this year. Did you have much of a relationship with him? Was his dad still the owner when you were there coaching, or did he take over the reins as the owner at that point?
Who's that now?
Jim Irsay.
Oh, with the Colts. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, the Colts.
No,
yep.
he was the owner of the team then.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
How was it? He always seems like
he was a good man to work for. Yeah, he was a good man. He kind of stayed out of it and let our general manager Bill Polian do most of the stuff, kind of like it was at the Saints too.
Yeah.
But I liked him. I had a good relationship with him.
Wow.
Now, Jim, mandatory that after every game you had to go address the media? Could you ever have a cool off period where it's like, I don't want to do it today?
I don't know. It didn't bother me to go up there and express my feelings and trying to be honest with people and not sugarcoat it or don't tell them how I feel, things like that. It didn't bother me any. Yeah, I know I took some comments in the media and stuff about it. They weren't always good comments that people thought that I said, but hey, I that's how I felt. I said it.
But it just seems like nowadays, like these players don't even get enough time to get dressed and get a shower and relax. They have cameras in their faces, and it just seems like there's got to be a point where like you need to give these guys a cool down session and let them get away for a couple minutes and then come and interview them.
I don't think it's any different than it was when I coached. I really don't. I mean, you came in, you got ready for the press conferences, and you did it, and I don't know, you can talk to your players about how they handle the media, and hopefully it works sometimes. I'm not just talking about for a particular game, but over the course of a season and stuff. And if they're mature enough and don't want to get a bad name or anything through the media or say something they don't really mean, that shouldn't happen. You know what I mean? And I think they, yeah.
Now, Jim, you've been around a lot of good players, and like you said, you knew Peyton Manning at a very young age. What made Peyton Manning a good quarterback? That you've been around him, so you got to see his work ethics and what he brought to the field. Even his brother too. Like, what makes a quarterback like that good?
Well, he had a dad that was a pretty good quarterback, and Archie Manning, and it came from a great family, a really good family. Two other brothers that were really good young men. One of them a good NFL quarterback. I don't know. He was a really good guy on your team playing that position. I mean, that's where you want a really special player, and he was. He worked hard. He had a great attitude. He was a great leader. He was not selfish. He was not an I guy. He was a we guy.
Yeah.
He was not a me. He wasn't a me guy. He talked about the team and the guys around him and how they did and what he liked about them and stuff. Not a selfish guy at all. Not a prima donna at all. And he's just the right thing you're looking for as your starting quarterback. I mean, and then he had all that ability itself. But just a special guy, special leader, all those kind of things. And that's what made him great and helped our football team a lot.
Love that.
Hey, Jim, I have a question as far as like, you see a lot of times you see these well-known players that they hold out and they want to get big contracts. Of course, everyone should get paid. how much input do coaches have into getting those players into camp, getting them signed? Like, do the GMs come to you and talk to you about players and how you feel about this player and their extensions?
Yeah, naturally, but I don't know. You don't have a lot of talking to the GM or the owner about that. They know, and you're discussing these people 12 months out of the year, in season, out of season. They got eyes. They know what people can do, what effect they have on the team, stuff like that. But yeah, you have conversations with the guy that's making these decisions, usually the general manager, but the owner, he has to okay the whole thing because he's the ultimate owner of the team. But I had two really good general managers to work with and two good owners, so I never really had much of a problem. But I guess I think it's important to have a owner or the guy that makes the decisions, whether you're on the team or not the team as a coach. You need somebody that knows what the heck they're talking about and why a team's good, why a team isn't good. I think that carries over to the players too when decisions have to be made about contracts and all.
Now, to piggyback that, did you have input towards the draft, like whatever your needs were? Did you sit in the draft room and say, this is what we want, this is what we want to get?
Yeah, not as much as the scouts, but we had input from the who the draft, the people making the picks, and me. I had input on that. Yeah, and I didn't have quite the depth of the evaluations of the college players, but I looked at a lot of film and had my opinions too. Yeah, as to what they would mean to the team and how they would affect the team and make us better and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Now, Jim, I know you said you're not necessarily around the game a lot today, but is there a coach that you admire to watch nowadays that you think is a good coach for this generation that's playing? If not, it's okay. I know that's. I know
wait a minute.
on the spot.
No.
Sirianni.
Well, I had a coach on my staff that I hired when we were the New Orleans, the Philadelphia USFL team.
Yeah.
And his name's Vic Fangio. You've heard that name.
Yeah.
And I hired Vic off the streets of Philadelphia, and he was on my staff with the Philadelphia Stars in the USFL. He came with me to the Saints, and he was there, I think, for 9 years. I don't think he was there the last 2 years. Then he joined my staff with the Colts as my defensive coordinator. Vic Fangio is a great football coach.
Yeah.
And he had a rough deal there when he was with, who the hell was he?
Miami.
Yeah. But he's special, and I know him as a person. What kind of person he is, what kind of coach he is, his knowledge, how he handles things, how he handles the team. I think he's outstanding, and I root for him every day, and we stay in touch.
Yeah, he just won a Super Bowl at Philly.
Yep.
Yeah, there he goes, the defensive coordinator. You're right,
Jim.
That's right.
Exactly. I know I'm an armchair quarterback. I sit back and I complain a lot about my team. How difficult is it to get to the Super Bowl?
Well, only one team out of 32 teams makes it every year.
Yeah,
it's hard to repeat. I think you got to have a lot of things going for you, like the Kansas City Chiefs. It starts with them ownership, head coach, both excellent in those areas. Kansas City. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to have a great team every year, but they've had a great team the past few years, and I think they went to 3 or 4,
the repeats,
repeat Super Bowls. So it's hard. I mean, there's a lot of things that got to happen. You got to have the good players, you got to have good coaches, and then you got to keep those guys healthy. Injuries can hurt you, that kind of stuff. It's hard to get to it.
Yeah,
it's hard to get to it. There's a lot of good teams. Not every year, a lot of good teams, but are close, but don't quite make it.
Now, Jim, you have seen a lot. I mean, you have a lot of wisdom coaching throughout all your years. Is there a specific moment throughout your coaching career that you're like, I will always cherish that moment? That was one of my favorite moments.
Or an accomplishment.
Okay, I'll give it to you. And I've used this before, and I've got that kind of a question before, and I've said it. Now, when I say it, I don't want it to mean that there wasn't a lot of good things that happened in my career, that I was fortunate that it happened. Okay. But when I joined the Saints, I think 15 years prior to that, they had never had a winning season. Okay.
Yeah.
They were 8-8 twice. The rest of the time, the other seasons, they had losing records. So when I had them in 86, when I had the job in 86, they never had a winning team. And they had great fans, all that kind of stuff, but they had never had a team that had won more games than they lost. Yeah. They were due. All right. And I knew this when I took the job, but hey, the good thing is if you had a better year, I mean, they think you're super, a great coach and all that stuff. And anyway, so in my second year there, we were at 3/4 of the way during the season. Now that we only played 15 games because they had a strike year, like I mentioned earlier. Yep. So if you won eight, you're going to have a winning season. So we had 7 wins, and towards the end of the season, and we had a good team. We ended up winning 12 games that year. But towards the end of the season, our record was like 7-2 or 7-3, something like that. And we were playing in, where the heck were we playing? Pittsburgh. I think it was Pittsburgh.
Man, the memory that you got, I love it.
I think it was in Pittsburgh, and we beat Pittsburgh in a tough defensive battle. We had a big goal line stand at the end of the game and stuff like that. But we won that dang game that gave us 8 wins. Now you're talking about New Orleans, football, hell, they love the Saints, all that kind of stuff. And for 17 or 18 years ahead of time, they've never had a winning season.
They were the Aints.
The Aints, that's right. And we finally, with that win, 8, to give us 8 guaranteed winning season wins, that was probably the highlight of everything that we did, especially in New Orleans. I mean, the fans loved it. I mean, we went home on the plane, and everybody was so happy and cheering, and the media and the fans were at the airport, and everything was great. But the main thing was for the team and for that organization, for at least this year, we were going to have a winning season. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Which we've never had before.
Yeah.
So we ended up 12 wins, so that worked good.
That's great.
Now, Jim, you had the comfort of being at home in 2 domes. Where was the hardest place to play as far as the elements with the weather on the road?
The elements with the because of the dome, where we're used to playing in the dome and then going on the road.
Mm-hmm.
What are you asking me now? What
was the hardest play to play as far as the elements?
Oh, I see.
Cold weather.
That's a good question. I'd have to give that some thought.
Green Bay, Pittsburgh,
in December.
Yeah, and it depends upon if you've had experience having this happen, playing in rain and snow and all that kind of stuff. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I really don't. Yeah.
Well, how about this? What's some of the
if we won, it was easy. If we lost, it was the worst place.
I love that.
Nothing. No win was ever easy. I didn't mean to say easy, because nothing was easy in that business. The good thing about the NFL and pro sport is everybody has the same opportunities to be good or not good. It's not like college nowadays, but the NFL, you can only pay so much money overall. You get to the entire team, all these other kind of rules and regulations that you have with your team, and some are good, some are not.
Let me ask you this: have you ever been in Green Bay in December?
Yeah, I think I know we were in Green Bay in some cold, windy games, not blizzards.
Yeah,
never a blizzard. But Green Bay was always a tough place to play because of they're an outstanding organization.
Oh yeah,
and it's always tough to go in there and win. We didn't have a lot of games in Green Bay, but I know we had at least a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there? So I know Ty asked about a coach today that you admire. What about a player today that you admire or that you want to coach?
These are tough questions now. There's a lot of them I'd like to coach. A player. Boy. I can't answer that. I mean, I'd have to really give that some thought. I don't
it's
know.
tough. There's a lot of good ones nowadays.
A
lot of good quarterbacks. A lot of good quarterbacks nowadays. And you talk about
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. I mean, whole different kind of talent nowadays.
But Jim, I
Yeah.
talk about this all the time. The way I was growing up, you saw people get hit on defense. Like receivers didn't want to go across the middle. Nowadays you just breathe on a guy wrong, it's a 15-yard penalty. You can't hit a quarterback a certain way. Would it be harder today for you coaching because you have to teach guys how to tackle a certain way compared to how it was in the 80s?
I don't think you have to teach them how to tackle. I think you make them aware of some of these things. I don't know if there's one that was huge difference than what it was before. And I may be wrong. Maybe there are some in there now. But
like I remember Ronnie Lott, Steve Atwater, guys that, you didn't go across the middle because they were going to decleat you right then and there.
well, yeah, if it's legal, that's what you want. I mean, if it's legal, as long as you're not being dirty about it, you know what I mean? It's not a dirty play. It's a legal play, but you hit them hard. And so fine, that's what you want. Yeah, you don't want to hurt anybody either on the other team or your own team, but you want to hit hard, quick, fast with a lot of guys. That's football. That's the NFL. That's college.
Absolutely.
College.
That is.
Yeah.
Well, Jim, I don't know. Do you guys have any more questions for him?
I could talk to Jim all day.
I know we don't want to. We'll have to get him back on sometime.
Jim, I have one more question for you. Right now, you see analytics is a big part of the game. Fourth down, 4th and 3. The analytics say go for it. Did you deal with a lot of that back in the day? Like make rapid decisions, or did you have to go off your book and say, well, 4th and 3, we're going to go for it here?
Well, it depends upon the where in the game it was, what the score was. Did it make a difference in whether you won or lost, whether you got the 4th down success? All those things in each game are a little bit different. But and I think you've got to be different too, depending upon the situation. First, what's the down and distance? What's the score? All those kind of things before you make a decision like that. But some coaches, I think, are maybe more so to take chances. Some are a little bit more not take chances. I was probably in the middle. I don't know if I was a guy that did some crazy things sometimes, but I didn't want to just sit around and not take chances. I mean, that's important. Yeah. Depending upon the play.
You see a lot of teams going now in their own territory, like even as far as 20-yard line, going for it on 4th and 3.
Well, they have success. Yeah, they have success in their team. They're successful on 4th and 3 situations. They have been in the past. They feel like they have a good plan for making that first down. All those things come into it. So then you make the decision whether you're going to do it or not do it.
Jim, I think having you on the podcast today, just into all this talk about the Saints, I'm just feeling like the Saints are going to have a really good season this year.
If they have a winning season, I do too. I root for them. I pull for them. I'm sad if they lose. I'm happy if they win. I've got friends in the organization still. It depends upon the quarterback situation. You've got a guy that I don't even know the coach. I'm going to meet him hopefully during the season. But I hear about good things about him. Yeah, I like that. I worry a little bit about some of their really good players, especially on defense, are getting a little bit older.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're as good, but hey, I don't know. We're going to find out pretty quick.
Hey, Jim,
we're going to find out.
Jim, what do you think of the Dallas Cowboys this year?
Oh,
and well, I don't know much about it. I know that when I was coaching in the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys were an outstanding football team, always competitive. Went for the Super Bowl every year. I mean, a team that people thought could be in the Super Bowl every year. I mean, they were that good of a team, and that starts with the organization. I don't know much about the owner. I've met him before when I was coaching, but or the coaches now. But I think this is just my opinion, and I'm not trying to be negative about him. But I think that the owner, the owner gets involved. Now, if he really knows what he's talking about football-wise, the other team they're playing, the other team they beat, the other team they lost, if he really understands those things and understands what's going on with his own coaching staff, his own team, then I think he would have some,
I agree.
Yeah, but if he doesn't, if he's not good at that, and some of the owners are, some aren't. Now, the Dallas Cowboys got an owner that's involved. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no, and he always has been, but they've been successful too.
Well,
So why not now? Yeah.
The whole family's involved now. His son's a GM there now, so he's helping out.
Yeah.
All that matters, though, all that matters is that the Saints beat him last year. That's all I needed. That's all I need for the rest of.
What I like Jim said was that they were good back in the 90s.
Well, Jim, we are just very appreciative of you taking some time and just sharing your knowledge with us. And we'll have to get you on here again. And
Well, let me tell you something. I've enjoyed this with you guys, really, and it's been fun for me. Okay.
Yeah.
I like the questions, etc.
Yeah.
Anytime you want me, just give me a holler.
Hey, we appreciate that, Jim. Well, hey,
if I can do it, I'll do it.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right.
Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you
Thank
next
you.
time.
Same to you guys.
Thanks, Jim. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Man, that was freaking amazing.
That was great. Hey, that was Jim Mora, former New Orleans Saints coach, former Indianapolis
I'm not.
coach. We'll be right back.
I want to.
Our sponsor, 3 Natives, is serving up fresh, healthy food that actually tastes amazing. From acai bowls and smoothies to wraps and juices, they've got everything you need to fuel your day without slowing you down. Whether you're coming from the gym or heading to class or just need a clean energy boost to listen to this podcast, 3 Natives has you covered. Support local, eat fresh, and tell them Everything Goes sent you. That's 3 Natives, 1192 Royal Palm Beach Boulevard, Royal Palm Beach, Florida. Man, Jordy in the comments had me laughing. I was waiting for someone to go playoffs.
Can't say it. The thing that was amazing was he was coaching while I was a 15-year-old kid up in the stands watching him.
Yeah, he was great, man. I think like when I was communicating with him on the phone, I was a little nervous at first because he put a couple exclamation points. I was like, I can't tell if I'm annoying this guy or what. And then and then we were texting. I was like, oh no, he's like super pumped. That's what I love about our podcast is like I love talking sports with you guys. And I love when we get athletes on here that give us a behind the scenes look of the sports we love.
Yep.
And I love when they have a good time on this podcast. Like they come on here and they don't feel threatened. They don't feel like we're trying to get some juicy, good news out of them. Like, hey, we just want a little inside look. And we were talking before this podcast even started. How the heck do we keep planning guests like this? We've been so blessed and just so thankful.
Say, can you get Vic Fangio on the podcast?
Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh, man. We got a guest coming on tomorrow. We're not going to tell you who. You'll have to tune in. We'll drop it next week for you guys. That way, because I might not even be here next week. I might be at the hospital with my baby.
It's going to be the AK show.
AK show. But I think that is where we're going to end it today. So thankful for Jim. Great insight. Huge shout out to 3 Natives, Royal Palm Beach, Florida, down here. One of the best local 3 Natives you can go to if you're in this area. Go there. Tell them 3 Natives sent you. Try the acai bowls with a little bit of extra Nutella. You will not regret it. But we love you guys. We'll see you guys next time. Keep it classy, Ace.